All right, so the first thing is kind of simple, but at what point in your life were you considered hooked on this style of extreme music?
Probably when I heard Hellhammer Apocalyptic Raids. I heard that album and I was like, whoa, this changes my whole outlook on music without question, totally.
Don from Nunslaughter said the same thing.
All right.
He gave me the same, like literally the same exact, the same exact vibe too. He's like, that's the album.
Oh yeah,
Right in.
so fucking heavy.
So the next one is what excites you about the evolution of this genre as a whole right now? Like, for example, you're touring with Gatecreeper. They're a new death metal band.
Yeah.
And they're in this, and I feel like they're a good example of like a band that's like revitalizing this type of music, really.
No, I think it's amazing. It's amazing that there's all these young bucks playing old school metal in general. Like every one of the guys on this tour have valve tube amps, which is sick. I'm like, oh my god, killer! Because I'm using amps that are 40 years old, and these guys are using old school amps, and I love it. And like Enforced, they're like fucking thrash metal sickness, and Gatecreeper is like fucking Autopsy and Entombed or thrown into a blender, maybe a little Amon Amarth in there mixed in. Like it is like I love it. It's beautiful, and that prolongs what's happening in this deal that we helped promote or whatever, however you want to populate.
Do you take some pictures?
Yeah.
I know this.
I'm just trying to conserve my bag. Like 7%. I got quite a bit of pictures up.
You're good. All right, so the next one is how do you think bands are going to be pushing the boundaries in the future? Obviously, death metal has been, one of those like headline things is like this is offensive, this is that. The other thing, like where do you think, maybe not even musically, like lyrically, that bands are going to go to just push the limits?
Yeah, that's a hard question to answer, really. I mean, because I thought for years it's already been pushed to the limits, like musically, heaviness wise, and I mean lyrically, whatever. People can come up with the most weird, strange. You can go to outer space or something, or I don't know. So maybe you can go to Mars and start singing about stuff that's going to happen in the future. I don't know. Maybe you get science fiction wise. I don't know, but I mean, it's hard to get heavier. I think. I don't know. I don't know what you're going to do. I mean, it's like there's only so many tones you can make, as far as we know right now as human beings, as a culture, So we'll see.
So the drummers that I've had on, they're just like faster, and it's like, to me, I'm like, you know what? It's a good point, because like the biggest thing I've been noticing is a lot of drummers are just getting like fucking so good, so wacky, like just like robots.
Oh yeah, well yeah, totally. They do. But that's not necessarily heavier. You know what I mean? I mean, you can get extreme as hell and which is killer. I mean, I see drummers too that are like sick, because I love drums big time. In fact, I wanted to be a drummer as a kid, and my dad's like, "Oh, this is gonna be too loud. You play guitar." Actually, I was like, "Oh, I'll play bass." He's like, "No, play guitar." My father played guitar, so anyway, that's kind of where I went, I guess. But yeah. I mean, yeah, you can get crazier than hell on the drums, and they do. People do. But, like, heavy is not necessarily faster to me. You lose the tone sometimes.
All right, so what did I fucking ask you? Yeah. So, what have you learned the most about the culture over the years? What do you think all your fans have in common? Like, maybe, like, thinking back to the old heads that like got into Obituary right in the beginning versus like now. I just saw a kid that was like fucking maybe 16, like just jamming out to Obituary.
Right.
And I'm like, where it's like it's a revolving door, really.
Well, Yeah, it's funny you say that because I've noticed like parents are bringing their kids or grandparents are bringing their grandchildren that were at our shows 30 years ago, and it's just a feeling. I think it's human nature. You feel that stuff, you know. Like my first child, when he was an infant, he would get colic. I literally would take him in my car, put him in his car seat, and put on like Morbid Tales, and literally his colic would go away in about a minute. Like he would lose that gassy craziness. He'd look at the speaker in the car and go, ah, and like, ah, he'd relax. And I think it's a natural feeling. Like it's primitive, you know? And so it doesn't matter. In 100 years, you probably play it for a child and they're going to go, whoa, you know? It's just, I think that's how it is. It's just an instinct, you know, really.
So the next thing is, which scene did he come from? I mean, you probably answered this a million times, but like maybe back in the day versus now, do you think it's like grown, or do you think it's like kind of stagnated? Where do you think it's at?
The scene in general? Oh, no, you're right. The scene in general?
Yeah. What scene did you come out of, and where do you think it's at right now?
Well, when I was a teenager, obviously I liked like Black Sabbath, Leonard Skinner, and Southern rock and classic rock, and then got into like Maiden and Judas Priest, and all of a sudden it turned into like Slayer, Possessed, and Exodus, and Destruction, and I think all that stuff's still healthy. I mean, we did that farewell tour with Slayer in 18 in Europe, and there was 20,000 people at every show. So that's pretty sick. They retired. So I think it's healthy. I mean, metal in general, like every vibe of it, I think is doing good, you know? And death metal seems like it's still chugging along, like we were talking about Gatecreeper, you know? It's great.
What I've been noticing is like, Obituary to me is a good example of where death metal is going, because it's got like the hooks, and it's a very like groovy based band, and I feel like a lot of bands nowadays, like Gatecreeper, they're not the most technical band, but they know how to write a damn fucking song,
Right.
you know?
Oh, yeah.
And that's really what I've learned.
Yeah, I think if you can write a killer hook and a riff and a beautiful rhythmic pattern, people will go home humming that. When they go home, they'll be like, oh, wow, remember that riff? Oh, they'll be humming it all the way home, you know? And it's catchy, you know? It grabs you and you remember that shit, you know? And I think that's what Obituary does. That's what we try to do. Or not really try, it's just kind of what we do. I mean, literally, riff writing for us, like when I write a riff, it's always by accident. Sometimes it'll be like a sound check on tour. I'll be sitting there like sound check. My sound man will be like, hey, you know, make some noise, and all of a sudden some riff will come out like, oh, crap, by accident. And I'll record it with my phone or something nowadays. I just put my phone, I say, okay, wait, hold on, we got to record that. And because it's like a catchy thing, and sometimes you forget it, so. And, yeah. It's kind of like that. It's catchy riffs. People love that stuff, you know?
Yeah. So we got 3 more here. What do you think is the most rewarding part about doing things DIY? Obviously, Obituary has grown to a point where, I mean, Napalm Death, Barney said to me, they're technically still a DIY band. Do you consider yourself or your band?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we got a couple crew with us. We got a merch person, sound man, and we got a drum tech, and a light dude. But other than that, I mean, we have an agent that books our shows, of course. But we have no management. I mean, we take care of everything on our own. I mean, book it, the merch, we take care of it ourselves, getting somebody to print it for us, calling up bus companies to rent the bus, you know what I mean? We do our own websites, we do our own Facebook stuff, I mean, everything.
I guess what I'm trying to get at is, what do you think is the most rewarding part about doing it that way? Instead of selling your soul to the fucking devil of corporate.
Right, yeah. Well, you save a lot of money. but really, it's because, we've been doing it so long. It's like, why wouldn't you do it yourself? You know, it's easier. We had nothing. You know, it's easier. And like you said, you ain't got to worry about the devil trying to take it from you. And we're pretty intelligent human beings, so we know what to do, you know. And we lay the groundwork for what we want. And if people don't want to do what we want, we move on to the next person, you know. Yeah.
So the last thing is, what advice could you give to someone that's trying to do everything that you've done with Obituary, that maybe hasn't even picked up, that 15-year-old kid, and they want to be a musician, but they had no idea how to do it? Where would you kind of guide them?
Do what you want to do, you know. Don't let people hold you back, you know. Like, if you want to play guitar or play drums or whatever, and don't let people beat you down. Just move forward, take a step forward, and keep going. You know, and don't let people influence you the wrong way. Go for it. You know, whatever you love, do it.